Hey everyone, welcome back to Penny for Your Crops Homestead, or welcome if you're new here. If you didn't already know, I am what they call mentally ill, and I want to talk to you about homesteading and mental illness today. So, trigger warning, I am going to talk about suicide and depression and all that good stuff. Let's get into it. Hey buddy bunny, are you done being alone? Hi baby. Who is my good boy? Good boy. Sit. Nope. Sit. Stay there. There you go. So about 5 years ago, I decided I wanted to become a homesteader. I was like, this is the dream, right? I wanted it. It was amazing. Sounded fantastic. But there was one big problem. Homesteads are a lot of work. And, I had depression problems. To give you a little background on myself, I attempted suicide at age 16. High school was really hard for me, some of middle school too. I think about as young as 12, I had mental illnesses that were undiagnosed. And it wasn't until after my suicide attempt at age 16 that I actually got help from a doctor for my mental illnesses and was diagnosed. I was diagnosed formally with major depressive disorder, and panic disorder. Obviously, major depressive disorder has to do with depression, and panic disorder has to do with, it's an anxiety disorder with panic attacks, that component. So, that was a decade ago that I was diagnosed with those. One of the big things about mental illness is that it keeps you from doing normal everyday activities, especially depression, especially anxiety. They just keep you from doing everyday things, right? So I was like, wow, now that this is my dream, can I even get there? Like, am I going to be able to take care of a whole homestead and manage my mental illness at the same time? Over the years, my mental illness has mutated, for lack of a better word. I've been to a few different therapists and psychiatrists in the recent years, and they aren't even sure what to call me anymore. One even said, maybe you're bipolar, and shrugged. I even considered an inpatient program a couple of years ago. At any rate, I wanted to know what would happen if I started homesteading when some days my depression and or anxiety was preventing me from even doing the dishwasher, not to mention if I needed to go to intensive therapy. So 5 years ago, I was sitting around worrying about my potential homesteading capabilities. Instead of rationally thinking, okay, so you want to homestead, what is your game plan? My thoughts were more like, Danielle, you're too lazy to homestead, because that's what mental illnesses do. It twists your thoughts in the worst way. Finally, one day I had enough and said, you know what? I'm not allowed to say lazy anymore, and I'm going to homestead because it's my dream and I want it enough. So my tips for you are, you need to, first of all, focus on your health. Is homesteading going to improve your health? Will it detract from your health? But tip 2 is to find somebody. Preferably somebody who understands you really well and understands homesteading. You don't want to get some city slicker that thinks gardening is stupid and goats are gross, right? To ask if this is the right lifestyle for you and get their opinion, because that way you can kind of get a better unbiased opinion than whatever lies your mental illness might be telling you. 3 is to be prepared. You need to start with reframing your negative thoughts. Prepare by practicing homesteading in whatever capacity you can at the moment. Like, I just had to garden in the backyard of a rental for the first 4 years or whatever that I decided I wanted to homestead. So that was what I did. I also did a ton of research online for different topics that I wanted to learn about homesteading. Go to your doctor and have your medication figured out before you start homesteading if you need to do this with medication. Make sure you're evened out. It's easy to get out of bed most days. Make sure you're nice and as even keel as you can get. That doesn't have to be medication. It could just be talking to a therapist. Find support in a friend or a partner or something like that, so that if you are having a bad day, they can fill in the gaps for you where you need to do self-care. I need somebody that can pick up the slack on the days that I'm feeling off, and that's my husband. So if I'm having a bad day, I will tell him and say, look, I need extra support today. Could you maybe take the morning chores for me so that I can just chill out and practice self-care? And he will go do that for me. You need to have a support system. Don't give up on your dreams just because you have a mental illness. You can do this. Homesteading is hard, and I haven't been at this for too long yet, but it's almost been a year, and I think that's ample time to figure out if I can really do it. And I can. And it was really nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing when I first started out. When we first got here, it was a huge culture shock to go from a huge city where all I had to do was take care of my kids and my dogs, and then to like a really rural homestead on 20 acres. It was just, and if I thought too much about all the stuff I had to do, I would just have a freaking meltdown, right? It's scary. It's different. And I think it felt really similar to when I had my first kid at 18. I went from being a teenager that only had to take care of myself, barely knew how to cook, didn't have to clean, really, except for my own bedroom. And all of a sudden, I had a baby to take care of, and an apartment to clean, and meals to cook. And it was really awful to think, oh my God, I have to do dishes every day for the rest of my life. That is the kind of stuff that puts you in bed for the rest of the day. If you want it enough, just make everything else silent. Have a plan, but shut off all the other silly thoughts in your head, because you can absolutely do this. It's a dream. Do it. It's achievable. Do it. Maybe start out with a little garden and work your way up instead of throwing a frog into a boiling pot of water where it'll just jump right back out. You know, maybe warm the pot a little bit and work your way up to a boil. I started out with a very small garden and then was thrown into chickens and goats within a few months. But I still did it. My animals have not died of neglect, and I can run around in a couple feet of snow doing chores, even though it's really hard and it's really frustrating. Go for it. That's all I have to say about it. Don't let people tell you you can't, and don't let people tell you you're crazy, and don't let your mental illnesses tell you that you're too lazy to do this. I'm here for you. I support you. Go do this thing. Thank you for watching.